Well, hello everybody. I would like to greet each and everyone a pleasant day. It is a pleasure on my part to partake in this international webinar entitled Setting the Trends, Education in the New Normal. Hello to all those who are watching live and, uh, and also those who are viewing the Facebook Live. My name is Salirik Salor Andres. I'm tasked to deliver a talk on short sharing on written and oral communication for teachers in a non-contact era. This is what we call the new normal these days. But I would like to have my talk entitled Empathy, the Key to Effective Communication in the New Normal and Beyond. Since I was given the green light to explore various facets of communication relevant to our current situation. So I was thinking that I'm going to share my insights about what is needed at this time when we are all besieged by this pandemic brought about by COVID-19. So, as a result, I'd like to focus on empathy as the key towards achieving effective communication, both written and oral, for teachers in the new normal and beyond. Again, my name is Saliric S. Andres. I am currently connected with the College of Arts of TIP Quezon City as one of the faculty members handling English language and literature courses, writing and communication courses, as well as a couple of social science and humanities courses. In the spirit of outcomes based education, allow me to share my projected intended learning outcomes for you, my dear participants of this short webinar. First, I want you to understand the context of communication in the new normal, the one that we are having right now, since we experienced lockdown beginning March until the present time. Second is for you to realize the importance of effective communication in the new normal. And lastly, utilize empathic communication for teaching and learning in the new normal and beyond. So, how does empathy help in communicating in the new normal and beyond? So, this has been my my thoughts, since I was contacted by Mr. Siegfried Aller, a good friend of mine, who I think is one of the organizers of this very timely and relevant webinar. And I think as an educator in this new normal situation we are having right now, it is fitting and proper for me to share my insights and my discoveries as part of my continuous quality improvement of my teaching and learning in this new normal era. I'd like to present my coined the acronym for empathy as the key to communication in the new normal and beyond, which goes like E, which stands for efficiency is required for effectivity. followed by letter M, which means mindfulness equals care, not only to your learners, but also to your colleagues and other stakeholders in the educational arena. The next letter is P, which is stands for purposeful communication. It's the heart of communication, followed by A, letter A. Authentic communication is human communication. And then this is followed by letter T, trust makes communication work. And then the H, which stands for honesty, is still the best policy. And of course, the Y stands for yearn for a clear and productive outcome. So allow me to unlock each and every term, every word that is coined by this acronym empathy, and how these keys unlock very effective communication in the new normal and beyond. Efficiency is required for effectivity. Of course, we can have never-ending debates, no, as to the relationship between efficiency and effectiveness. But one thing is clear: nothing substitutes correctness. So, whenever we communicate, whenever we try to share or transfer knowledge, information to our learners, we should aim and aspire for the correctness of information that we are sharing. In this time and age of fake news, alternative facts, misleading news, so we should be guarding ourselves as to the correctness of the things that we are sharing to our learners, be it news bulletin for updates on coronavirus vaccines or other things. We should care to verify first the source of our information before we actually send them in our classes or even in our social media posts. Another thing that we would highlight here is that the importance of saying the right words at the right time. We cannot afford to be on the receiving end of criticisms because we are actually being careless as to the correctness of the things that we are sharing to our students. Of course, good grammar helps your cause because as teachers, or shall I say, aspiring teachers, no? It's your job to continually improve yourself when it comes to grammar, and the more so when it comes to written communication and, and oral communication as well. So you have to see to it that the words, the sentences that we are actually sharing or uttering is flawless when it comes to its grammar and construction. Efficiency is a cousin of quality. That's what I'm saying to my students. So try to model yourself to uh, a builder who is striving for perfection. We cannot achieve excellent or perfect grammar or perfect communication, but we should never stop aspiring towards it. Okay, so that's the letter E. Efficiency is required for effectivity. So effectiveness is actually measured by the way we wield words, the way we construct sentences, the way we deliver these to our stakeholders. Next is the Letter M, which stands for mindfulness. Mindfulness equals care. So if you're mindful to your surroundings, mindful towards your learners, your students, mindful towards your colleagues, it shows that you have this genuine care to those who are involved in the communication activity that you are involved in. This means you're making yourself fully in the moment when interacting virtually. Since we are separated by distance, we should bridge the gap. We should take the initiative to reach out to our students so that they will feel, they will experience, they will know that you are still there despite the distance between you and your learners. As much as possible, eliminate distractions so everyone can concentrate on the tasks at hand. So whether you're teaching, whether you are administering exams or quizzes, so be in the zone. Yeah, that's what they call it in sports. No, be in the zone, meaning to say you are completely with them. So um, expected calls, messages, this may distract, this may interrupt the connection between you and the students, not to mention our intermittent signals, no, as far as the internet connectivity in the Philippines is concerned. So we might as well eliminate those distractions so that everyone can concentrate on the task. Of course, we feel bad if our students are not really concentrated on what we are doing. So the same goes with our learners who feel betrayed whenever they see that you are actually being distracted for some reasons, whether domestic, personal, or professional concerns. Check for clutter, glare, and lighting issues so that could detract from the conversation. Since we are using technology, it's understood that you have invested a considerable amount of time and money to to equip yourself fully in order to deliver your lessons effectively to your students. So these include your machine, your laptop, your desktop, okay, which has a working internet connectivity, a webcam, and of course an audio that will deliver the needed materials to your students. So maybe you can have some add-ons like illumination or ring light, okay, and other matters that could enrich the delivery of your instruction to your students. So these could actually be helpful if you know how to use them properly, but they can actually distract or detract from the conversation, from the teaching and learning process, if you are not really that adept in using those materials. So this will actually eat considerable amount of time, no? If you are not yet able to set these things up prior to starting your classes. So students may feel betrayed for that matter because mindfulness is really not in the scene in that particular instance. Imagine consuming 5 minutes just to set the the right amount of illumination and another 5 minutes to set up the audio or the signal quality. So all of these are not evident of your being mindful. Okay. And of course, try to remove anything that might take your attention off the discussion. So people can tell when your mind is elsewhere. Even though we are separated from our students as far as proximity is concerned, they are still within the reach with the use of technology. So, judging by what they can see on their webcams, on your webcams, no? So everything is being reflected. Um, your facial expression, your words, your intonation. So all of these are very telling signs whether you are actually mindful or not really that mindful to your students' concern at that particular instance. So again, mindfulness equals care. So caring for your students' learning, caring for your students' welfare. Another is the letter P, which stands for purposeful communication, is the heart of communication. We may have gone a long way when it comes to the medium, the the channel, the avenue through which we forward our communication purpose or intent or objective. But still, as communicators, we communicate with our target audience in mind, regardless of the tools that we are using. Prior to the pandemic, we understand that you are using your voice, your physical self, your verbal and nonverbal in actual face to face interaction. But still, the purpose is there. Okay, it didn't change at all when we migrated to this uh, online or distance learning methodology. The purpose did not change. It's just that the methodology of delivering the instruction, the avenue of which we communicate our intention, okay, may became complicated, but still the purpose is to share the knowledge that we have to our students, preparing them for a better future in the next coming years. So we should not deviate from that purpose. Okay. Despite these multitude of gadgets that we use to communicate with them, whether we are using SMS, whether we are using Facebook groups, whether we are using learning management systems, we should not uh, forget the purpose of our communication, which is to communicate the learning uh, objectives of our lessons day in and day out. So this goes to say that establishing a connection and rapport with our students will remain the core of strong and effective communication strategies. So you can still share laughters, okay, just to break the ice, not just purely focusing on the lesson on hand. In my case, I still try my best to make the students feel that I am with them physically prior to the pandemic uh, situation that we have not, right now, just to make them feel that despite the difference in the modalities of learning delivery, we are still the same old brand new professor that they used to know prior to this COVID-19 pandemic. Communication is particularly essential right now in this time of uncertainties, in this time of worries. Okay, we should be more uh, reaching out. You should be more uh, approachable. We should be more uh, caring to our students because this is our very purpose to guide our students so that they may feel that they are not uh, alone, okay, in this fight against the COVID-19. Although we are separated, distance or miles apart, we should strive to still adhere to our very purpose, okay, which is the heart of communication. The next one is letter A, which stands for authentic communication is human communication. Of course, we may be using tools and gadgets. Okay, these are blessings of technology, but these cannot replace human communication. These are just implements to help. Okay, these are just tools to simplify, if not help um, deliver the instructions to our students. But we should not fall into that pitfall of substituting these technologies into human touch when it comes to communication. So we have to reread our messages before we send them, making sure that they are upbeat and helpful. Okay. Our students are in need of our guidance the most or the more in these times, in these trying times. So make sure that they are actually helpful to their cause. So students are actually experiencing a lot of traumas, no? A lot of problems from all fronts, no? In their families, in their peers, in their social media dealings. So not to mention the health, okay, both physical and mental health. We should be careful with our vocal tones, okay. So do you sound interested or bored? So all of these are very much noticeable by the way you utter those words. Is it judgmental or supportive? So make sure that your tone is not judgmental, but of course, be ever supportive to them. Smile, nod, make eye contact. Okay. So this is the importance of turning on those webcams. Okay. I really encourage my students to turn on their webcam so I can see the surroundings of their vicinity, and it really tells a lot. You cannot help but observe the surroundings of the house. Okay. So first, the internet connectivity. Okay. Of course, not all students belong to the same socioeconomic strata. So we have to be understanding. Okay. So whether you're on camera or behind a face mask, you should always smile because it radiates beyond those temporary barriers. Now, to show authenticity, you should check in with people. It's really a tedious task to get to check the situation, but this is our job. Okay, not just to reiterate actions, but to build relationships. So it's heartwarming to see students who are responding to your checking out messages. So how do you find the task assigned today? Is it difficult or is it hard? So you're actually checking on them because you care, okay? Because you care for their well-being. As mentioned by Tanvir Nasir, authenticity isn't about being the real me, but being true to our purpose and values that drives us in the first place. So, in the pre-pandemic situation, you may be a kind of professor that is not really that warm and accommodating, I think you should switch on that warm and accommodating side because students more than ever need them today. That's authentic communication. T stands for trust, makes communication work. So we communicate to build trust, okay? And trust is maintained by constant communication. So here are some tips for you to um, nurture trust when it comes to communication. First is to demonstrate genuine care for the other person. So we should treat these students as our students who are under our care, who are under our aegis. So they seek guidance, they seek help, they seek protection. Okay, so when you bring them under your wings, under your care, of course, make sure that no one gets left behind. No student should be feeling isolated or all alone. That's why it's important for you to create some group tasks, okay? Not just purely individual or dyadic uh, works. Another one is to listen to understand, not to respond. There's a difference between listening for understanding and listening for responding. The former is showing genuine care. You want to understand the situation. Say students are having a hard time following the instructions. It's not hurtful if you try to ask them questions whether or not they truly understood the instructions so that they will be properly guided as to how to accomplish the task that you have assigned to them. So in my case, I try to double check my instructions whether there are some gray areas, some words that are not clear. So maybe ask them, okay, if they know what to do. Mm, use open body language. So open body language, these are nonverbal cues that are warm, accommodating, and welcoming to your students. So these include the uh, nonverbal cues that are not closed, okay, meaning you you cross your shoulders, your arms rather. These are actually not open, so it would be hard for students to penetrate that sphere, okay, which you temporarily blockaded between you and your students. Another point is for you to look for commonalities with other persons. Before you start the lesson, make sure to check the attendance. And while checking the attendance, maybe you can actually inquire. You can actually ask a student about another student who is actually not yet able to log in or still out there, or maybe struggling to make the connection. So you can actually inquire and ask things. How are they doing? Or what is the status of their internet connectivity? So who among them are using data? So sort of things that will look for commonalities. And then from that simple interaction, students can feel that you are actually one of them, that you also experience internet connection errors, that you also experience problems related to teaching, okay? Not someone who is not human, okay? Not someone who is not relatable to their experiences. So as you do that, try to express empathy, try to mirror emotions, Of course, these are the trying times of our history. So we should be healing as one. No, that's the government slogan. No, we heal as one. So we should be one with our students and try to empathize with what they're feeling right now. Those who are victims of tragedies, typhoons, calamities. So we should empathize with them. Be transparent and show vulnerability. This does not mean that you are actually a weak professor or a teacher. This actually helps your students reach out easily or easier because you are actually transparent. Okay. So when you say transparency, the activities, the tasks are clear to them, how they are graded, the rubrics are shared to them, so they know what to do. They are guided on what they are doing. Their submissions are being uh, graded based on a given parameters, which are clearly explained to them. So all of these are helpful in your attempt to show your connection, okay, to your students for them to trust you, okay, with some other more important matters later on. Be positive and respectful. Avoid negative comments. Avoid judgmental remarks. Okay, so we have to respect them. They have their flight. They have their own plight. Okay, and their own fight that we are not aware of. So we might as well be uh, respectful to each and every student. Choose the right time, the right place, and the right method to communicate. So there are opportunities of choosing in this time and age of online teaching. It's a matter of being able to judge which is the right uh, methodology to communicate. Say, if you have announcement, would this be best if I post it on our Facebook group? So, or I will just post it, or I will just send it via SMS. So you have to choose which is the perfect modality to use. Okay. So look for opportunities to build up the other person. Of course, takes one positive remark from a teacher to make or brighten the day of a student, especially if that student is actually someone who's not really confident with what he's doing. So maybe cheering up or complimenting students' output would not be too much for a student to make. And of course, lastly, you have to own your words. So if you say what you mean and you mean what you say, students will trust that you are a man of your words. You're a teacher who owns the words that you say. So naturally, they will actually adjust and the process and in the process they will trust and be confident with what you're doing. And of course, honesty is still the best policy. This is for the letter H. Another key for effective communication is to make academic expectations clear. So I'm sure you have your own class orientations. So this is the moment when you elaborated on your class rules. You have your class rules prior to the pandemic and during the pandemic situation. You have class rules. So academic integrity should be a priority in your class rules. I, I'm I'm happy that our school we have this honor code of which students are obliged to follow. Okay, this honor code is actually embedded in each and every submissions that they are delivering online. So this honor code will actually remind them that honesty is still the best policy. And they know the consequences if they violate this honor code. They know the consequences if they deviate from what is expected to them academically. Uh, Another point here is to construct valid assessments and delivery with foresight. So you have to plan ahead whether you're going to uh, construct a summative test or a checkup quiz or a long quiz or a periodic exam. So you have to plan ahead, consider the surrounding circumstances, the duration. There should be enough consideration on the duration of the assessment because if you really force the students to turn in within a very limited amount of time, they are forced to to examine or explore possibilities which may lure them towards committing the unthinkable. Make the most of technology. Of course, most learning management systems like Canvas or Blackboard, they have these features that are within the means of the teachers, of which they can actually somehow uh, eliminate, if not prevent, the possibilities of cheating. But, well, as they say, nothing prevents a determined cheater. So maybe the best thing that we should do is to utilize pedagogical strategies that will eliminate the possibility or opportunity of academic dishonesty. So maybe we can incorporate assessments that are really not easy to cheat. No? Uh, Assessments that force students to think, no? Exercise their higher order thinking skills, which are actually the very core of our uh, assessment and evaluation tasks. Of course, there are formative assessments that we can employ, which are easily uh, uh, subverted, but these are not graded. So students have to know what is to be graded and what is not to be graded. Okay. So from that instance, they are not actually being enticed to commit cheating, if at all. Another point that I'd like to share, which is what I'm doing, is to involve learners in deciding instructional approaches and methodologies. I try to ask their opinions. I try to ask their suggestions as to how are we going to achieve or attain a certain outcomes and what are the best, if not better, assessment tasks. For example, are they willing to conduct debate? Are they willing to conduct interviews, online interviews, online debates, of course, because we are in the pandemic situation. So this may eliminate the chances of cheating because they are forced to create an output, which are really not easy to subvert as far as cheating is concerned. So all of these would be helpful if you got to know your students better in the first place. So I usually allot the first meetings to get to know my students better. So who are they? What is their economic status? Their dreams, their goals, their aspirations? Are they working? Are they scholars? Are they supported by relatives and friends or a foundation? So it actually helps. if you know your students better, so that you know what strategies are you going to employ. Educate students about academic honesty by citing stories of consequences of academic dishonesty. Okay, not only at the present moment, but even beyond graduation, even beyond the board exam. So all of these are uh, serving as reminders to them not to commit those undesirable academic uh, misdeeds. Maintain security of test banks, of course, is vary assessment types and control the course environments. These are actually within the control of the teacher. So for us, teachers, we can actually do so much, but there are things that we cannot uh, do anymore. So we should avoid stressing ourselves out because in this time and age of online modality of delivering of instruction, there are really some limitations of the things that we can do. So the best thing that we can do is to instill honesty is still the best policy. And of course, the letter is Y, and I want to call it yearn for clear and productive outcome. So in this communication in the non-contact era, okay, uh, new normal and beyond, we should consider our audience, okay, and we should always yearn for a clear and productive outcome whenever we communicate. So, who are our audience? Mostly these are our students, parents of our students, colleagues, superiors, okay? So, we should always strive, should always yearn for a clear and productive outcome. That's actually one of the seven C's for effective communication, clarity, okay? So, say exactly what you mean, avoid jargons if possible, especially when dealing with our students. You should always keep it short and simple. So nothing beats simplicity when it comes to communication. Now we can always ask for a playback. What we mean by playback is that we call a student or two and ask them uh, what is the instruction, or repeat the instruction, or repeat the tasks, because for all we know, the signal in their area suddenly got problematic. So we might as well help the students, okay, clarify things that are not clear to them. So asking for a playback is one of the strategies I use when it comes to uh, clarity of my instructions. Just ask randomly a student if they or if he or she actually knows what to do with with the task that I assigned to the class. If possible, you can over communicate. When you say over communicate, not to be a nagging teacher, because nagging is different from over communicating. Well, what I mean by over communicating is that you actually ensure that no student is being left behind. So everyone is in the loop, everyone is connected, because a student that is disconnected from the class is actually uh, a failure of communication. So there's no harm of over communicating, just to ensure that everyone is connected or in the loop. And of course, choose the right medium for the message, because there are actually messages, instructions, or informations that require the right uh, media or medium for communication. For example, you're going to reiterate an instruction or you amended an instruction. So you cannot actually log in and call the students because it's not yet time for your class. So maybe you cannot use your LMS at that point. So choose an alternative um, medium to disseminate changes in the instruction. No? In my case, my first channel, so there's a hierarchy of channels of communication. No? The first channel would be the LMS system itself. So we are using Canvas and we have this inbox feature. And then the second in the hierarchy would be the Facebook group chat that we created for the entire class. So this is for instructions that are actually revisions of instructions, okay, that are delivered right to their group chats. So these are perfect medium or avenue to disseminate information without the need to log in their learning management system. And then, of course, I have this cell phone number, which is exclusive for students. This is actually distinct and separate from my personal mobile number. So you have to uh, maintain your own personal life as a teacher because you are not just a teacher, you're also a father or a family member. Okay, so these are the keys to effective communication in the new normal and beyond. So again, these are uh, empathy. Okay, the word is empathy, which stands for efficiency, mindfulness, purposeful, authentic, trust, honesty, and yearning for a clear and positive outcomes. So that would be all. Thank you very much for your time. And if you have clarifications, please feel free to visit my Facebook page at facebook.com/Sir Salary Andres. Have a great day, everyone, and God bless.